Hello Internet, welcome back to Mutton Chop Gaming. I'm the Mutton Chop Gamer, and I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to keep playing this game. So I'm doing a first impressions, and I know, first impressions for a Mother game usually doesn't end well. It's why EarthBound was so marginalized when it first came out, but I just don't want to play it anymore. Screw it, here we go.
We begin with a brief background. George and Maria were abducted by aliens, and against the wishes of the aliens, George learned their PSI abilities, or psychic powers. George escaped back to Earth years later, much to the anger of the alien race. Decades later, George's great-grandson Ninten and his home are attacked by a poltergeist in a little podunk town. No, seriously, the town is called Podunk, look it up. After he beats up the poltergeist, his father calls and says, "Hey kid, go on adventure, save the world!" This is my first problem with the game. In EarthBound, it was clear that Ness was supposed to be a hero. Someone came from the future to warn him of what was going to happen. Then a villain followed him to try to stop Ness's adventure before it even began. And it was clear that there was an evil entity influencing everything. Here it's just, hey kid, do this. There's no building up to it. I don't believe that Ninten is destined for greatness after the tutorial. He's a freaking nerd! I mean, he has asthma for Pete's sake.
We already knew I was a nerd, shut up!
In terms of aesthetics, it's about what I would expect, considering it's a prequel to EarthBound on the original Nintendo. Yeah, I know it's not really a prequel, but Nintendo of America is pretending it is, so shut up. The color palette, given what the NES is capable of, is as good as it can be. However, it appears to have no real depth in the world. Yes, I know, NES limitations, but the isometric grid doesn't give me a good false sense of 3D space like other isometric games. It just feels like a top-down game at a slightly different angle. The music in this game is amazing though. Heck, a lot of the only music people know from this series is from early Smash Bros. Games. Pollyanna and the main theme come to mind as to what people might remember, as it all stems from this game. But honestly, the gameplay is what killed it for me. It's just not good. It is nowhere near as good as EarthBound. You carry less items, you can only have a max of 3 party members, and the battles are so tedious! There are no background animations, the health doesn't roll down, and it just doesn't feel like a Mother game! It feels like another typical NES RPG! This brings me to my other big reason as to why Ninten is a nerd. He has no offensive PSI powers. Ness could kick his face in with PSI Rockin'. Heck, even Lucas, that crybaby Lucas, could beat him up with PSI Love. Ninten is just a dork. And when you're level grinding so you can take on bigger fights, it doesn't do what EarthBound did. Automatic winning against fights you have a 100% chance of winning on the first turn are gone. Yes, I know this came out before EarthBound, but my point is that all of the gameplay feels equal to, say, Final Fantasy. EarthBound and all of its series is supposed to be not your typical RPG. This is just your typical RPG!
Look, I'm not gonna grade this game. I mean, it would be unfair of me to grade it before I get to the very end, especially with how emotional EarthBound games can get. But if you wouldn't mind humoring me, I have a conspiracy theory that I think you might want to listen to.
In the late 80s, Mother was a critical hit in Japan, so Nintendo of America began making a port for the US. However, after everything was done, the sales came in for Dragon Warrior and Final Fantasy. It turns out that America, for the most part, did not enjoy the JRPG. So the game was put on the back burner, and as the SNES's release came closer, someone at Nintendo decided that Mother was too risky. Then, after Mother 2 came out to huge accolades, other Nintendo executives thought it would be worth it to try bringing it to North America. But one executive, who didn't want Americans to experience the greatness of JRPGs, decided to do something horrible. He ordered the marketing team to say that the game stinks, and used the idea of scratch and sniffs, which were really popular at the time, to get away with it. Then he demanded it be given a price tag much larger than any other SNES game. making the strategy guide mandatory with every copy of the game. He got lucky with the laziness of critics back in the day who judged a game before they finished it. Hey, I already told you this is first impressions. I'm not giving the game a grade until I finish it. And those critics wanted gaming to cater to an older audience alone, instead of having an art style that would be remembered for ages. The more things change, the more they stay the same, eh? Through his craftiness, EarthBound was a commercial failure in the United States, resulting in it not going anywhere else. The Nintendo executive got to sit on his throne of Nintendo RPGs not coming to the West until Pokemon, but Fire Emblem, and even Wii games were kept in Japan until a miraculous invention, the Internet, forced Nintendo to release their JRPGs in the West. This executive wasn't happy because he still did not believe Americas should have their JRPGs. Then something unbelievable happened. Satoru Iwata became president of Nintendo, and, giving into fan demand, EarthBound was released as a Wii U Virtual Console game, and, from what I understand, it became the best-selling Virtual Console title ever! But the executive was not happy. Then, he got an idea. Fans kept crying out for Mother 3, but what would happen if the less-informed fans were given a different game? One that would make them think EarthBound was the only good one in the series, and that Mother 3 coming outside of Japan would be a terrible idea. And what if its release was announced right before a major E3 event, when nobody would remember it because of a World Championship tournament? My conspiracy theory, ladies and gentlemen, is that some executive who thinks that the JRPG deserves no future outside of Japan, and might have convinced Square Enix that the JRPG has no future too, come to think of it, is working to make us think that we don't want Mother 3. I'm here to say to you all, no. I'm going to admit it. I played a reproduction cart of the fan translation, and it's a better game than any new Super Mario Bros. Game released. The people behind the translation are willing to just give it to you, Nintendo. You cannot win this fight. You lose money if you don't do it from emulators and reproduction carts. But you have everything to gain if you just give in. Virtual console money, all the love from critics, and the fact that you have Lucas as DLC for the new Smash is just teasing us about Mother 3. If my conspiracy theory is true, and there is an executive among you who doesn't want us to have it, I don't care what he says, nor do I care what your corporate structure says. Mother 3 made me cry within the first 30 minutes of play. And after the successes of Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, the anticipation of the new Xenoblade game shown at E3, EarthBound on Virtual Console success, and your second biggest franchise, Pokemon! You know we can handle your RPGs. You know we would buy it. I am begging you, not as the Mutton Chop Gamer, but as Oliver Davis. Please, for the love of all in the heavens and all things that live upon this earth, let us pay you so we can download and play Mother 3 legally.
Alright, that's it. I'll see you all next week. I'm gonna try a happier game, something that can make me feel a love for gaming again.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then why not like, comment, and subscribe to my channel? And if you're just looking for a new video to watch, then why not watch some of my older stuff over there, on the side of the video? You might like it.